Hi, my name's Todd Telander. Welcome to the Telander Art School, where I'll be sharing tips, advice, ideas, and hopefully some encouragement about the process of painting and drawing. So today's topic is glazing. And what is glazing? It's basically a technique in painting whereby we apply a thin, transparent layer of paint over an existing painting that's already dry. It's a way to just shift the color a bit without disrupting what you've already painted, without affecting your brushwork, your composition, your existing drawing. It's just a quick way to make that shift in color. And so why would we do a glaze? Well, perhaps your painting is dry and you look at it again and it seems to have lost some luster. Some of the pigment actually absorbs into the canvas or the panel and it becomes a little lifeless. Some of the colors are duller than you want them to be. A glaze is a simple way to just brighten things up quickly without disrupting what you've already painted. And some colors naturally get a little bit dull when they dry. So we can spice that up. We can deepen some shadows. We can smooth some transitions between shapes with a little bit of a blending glaze. We can create some atmospheric perspective, not only by brightening. We can brighten colors, but we can also dull them. And that can be a quick way to really transform the feeling of air and haziness and atmosphere into a painting as well. And there may be a time when you just want to shift the overall look of a painting. It may be a complete painting, but now you see that the colors don't quite do what you're wanting them to. They aren't in harmony. A glaze of just one or maybe two colors over the entire painting sometimes can actually bring the colors into a more harmonious balance. So let's take a look at our materials and the painting I'm going to be working on. I'm going to do a short demonstration. So hopefully this will help out, answer some questions. And when I'm done, please feel free to comment and let me know what you thought. Okay, so let's take a look at my setup here. Here's my palette. And I put out, in addition to my normal colors, a few colors that are considered more transparent than others. Now you can do a glaze with any color really, but there are a few in particular that lend themselves nicely to working with glazes. They're naturally a thinner, more transparent, very beautiful, high tinting strength. Vibrant colors. I've got Indian yellow here for my yellow. I've got a little alizarin crimson for red, ultramarine blue, and a little sap green. And for a medium, I'm using Brighten, which is a product by Winsor Newton. You can use whatever medium you've been using for the rest of your painting. It's not so much about the medium, but that you just use a small amount of the pigment to enough medium just to keep it, to spread it around the painting. There's the painting I'll be working on. For brushes, I've just got, this is just a flat synthetic bristle brush and a couple of filbert bristles, hog bristle. So that's that. There's paper towels, paints. Like I said, this painting I did about a week ago. It's totally dry, so it's important that it's dry. Otherwise, the glaze you put over the top will smear the underpainting, which is not really what we want. And little gamps all over there. And with that yellow, I'm going to take this area in the foreground here and just see how thin that is. I'm just giving that a little brightness. The idea was kind of a late afternoon, a warm sunshine, and I felt like the colors were just too cool overall. So this would really warm that up. I can even put some yellow more here into this grass here. And in places where I want it a little more shadowy, I can add that little sap green there. And just sort of scrub it in. Right away, you can just see it really brightens up that dull color that had been sitting there. And here's a passage of some sort of brown orange. I want to add a little of that Indian yellow there too. The light on these trees, I feel I'd like to give a little more attention to the brightness of the light on that tree. I'm actually going to use a little bit of my regular yellow here. It's a cadmium yellow. I want that to be a little brighter. Now, if you get too much on there, that's too much. Just take a paper towel, wipe it off, bring it back down. You might need to add a little bit of, for thinner, I've got a little Gamsol here. And you can just take that off. Mix a little bit of green back in there. There we go. Not quite as intense, but still, where the light's hitting the tips of those trees, I'd like to make it a little brighter. Again, just a thin layer. You can even spread it a little into the shadows. A little bit of light here. Look at that. And let's see in the shadows. So, in addition to making colors brighter, you can also bring them into shadow more. So, I'm going to take a little of my red, the alizarin crimson I've got here, mixed with my medium, very, very thin. Drop it into those shadows. Red being the complement to the green, really deepens that shadow color. Not too much. I hardly have any paint on my brush. It's amazing what effect you can get with just a little bit of paint. It really darkens that up. If it looks too red, I'll just go back and add a little more of my green into it. That's okay. There we go. That's all right. Just a little more green. We really deepened up that shadow. Even these shadows under the trees here. I'm going to grab a little bit of my ultramarine blue. Some of the cool shadows here. It's neat how you can just paint right over what you've already painted. Without disrupting the drawing you've already done. Detailed brushwork. It's still there. I just painted over. And that gives a little more richness to that shadow. Now another thing I want to try is creating a little more atmosphere between the foreground and the background. The mountains, to me, I want to push them back. I want to make them seem like they're fading back in space a little bit. So what I'm going to do is add a mixture, a little bit of white. Here, I'll show you that. Okay, bear with me here. I'm just going to take a little bit of my white and just Payne's gray, something like that. Just a grayish, dull color. Okay. So with that color, I'm going to come back here and give these mountains a layer. It's almost like painting some sky between you and the mountains. Very thin. With my bristle brush, I can really just kind of scrub it in back there without adding a lot of pigment. The more you scrub it in, the less pigment you have to use. And blend it into the sky even a little bit. And that whole area back there. Even a little touch into the layer of trees back there. There we go. Just kicks them back into space a little bit. Maybe a little too much gray in there. That's all right. Now we get a nice sense of foreground here. Foreground, background. What else can we do with this? Well, let's take a look at the sky. Maybe the sky can be... I liked having a little more yellow in those clouds. So let's see what happens if I grab clean off my brush here. A little bit of yellow. Oh, not that much. That's too much. See, it doesn't take much. I'm going to add a little white to it, actually. Still too much. Huh, it's amazing. Wipe off a little. Come back with my white. Tone that down, back down a little bit. I just wanted to give it a little bit of that buttery look, like there's some sunshine hitting those light spots. Just have a little bit of pigment on my brush and just sort of scrubbing it in there. Scrubbing it in there. Scrubbitying. clean brush. Maybe that blue in the sky up there could be, if I made that a little darker, give it some contrast. My ultramarine with my glazing medium here. Just ultramarine up there. I know that the sky, as we go up and up toward the zenith, it's darker. Toward the horizon, lighter. Just a little darker up there. You can always add more. You can start out very subtle and then just keep building and building and building. It's easier to keep adding more than to start out with too much. Sometimes it doesn't wipe off the way you want it to. A little more in there. A little darker here. Neat thing about glazing too is that it creates little particles in different layers, and it settles onto the canvas in little nooks and crannies, and it's not like a flat surface. Let me show you that closer. If we look closer, you can see, but look at the darker blue over the lighter blue and how it's almost more of a textured look than if I just painted one flat color. You know, even in the trees here. Close up of the panel. It's not just one flat piece of color, but almost like a vibration. Okay, I'm going to do one other thing here on the foreground. I feel like I'm going to put a little. That's a little olive tree right there. I'm going to mix a little bit of my ultramarine and my red. So I've got like a transparent violet here. Drop that into the shadows. Give it this cast shadow here also. A little bit. A little bit of that violet into these shadows as well. What happened here is I rubbed off. I tried to do a glaze earlier on this and it wasn't quite right, so I rubbed it off, but the initial painting wasn't dry enough, so I actually lost. I took up too much paint, so it's back to the bare canvas practically. That's okay. I'll just get a little shadow. That violet makes a nice little shadow color back in there. A little more blue. I could just mix a darker green also. That would work. Okay. Now we can notice how that painting has changed quite a bit. So there we go. I've made some changes to this painting. I hope you can see how we could, with a glaze, we can make some pretty major changes in a relatively short amount of time. And you're not limited to just this coating of glazes. You could let this dry and come back. With the addition of a medium, usually speeds the drying time, or at least I like the mediums that speed the drying time. So as early as tomorrow probably, I could come back and do another glaze and keep adding glazes and glazes until you get the result you like. And there's no real distinction either between glazing and actual painting. So just because I'm glazing doesn't mean I can't also be doing more other kinds of painting work, traditional opaque painting alongside with glazing. So they're not mutually exclusive, of course. So if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and be sure to check out my website, www.toddtelander.com, and feel free to make some comments. Let me know how this video worked for you. If you've got any suggestions, critique, what have you. And thanks a lot for watching. See you next time. Ciao.